Free-Form video discussion. I'm Brian Wardlow.
And I'm Pat Williams.
And on the last segment, we had Mags Glennon on from the Westmeath Cow Park Users Group, and we were discussing that issue there, Pat, about how the Dublin government, by way of the Department of Agriculture and through the county council, have decided to sell off these lands. You know, that the landless farmers have used for 30, 40 some odd years. You know, these are people that really depend on the part-time farming to supplement their income just to survive. This isn't something where they're making a lot of money and they have a lot of luxuries. What happened was they this is a prime example of the so-called Celtic tiger, you know, at its best, where these people in the county council, by way of the Dublin government, decided to sell off this land pretty much overnight. You know, they found for sale signs on the land that they depend on and use with no regard, as far as Mags talked about, you know, when they went up with the attitudes of, you know, just being so arrogant, thank you, towards these people and their livelihoods, you know. And, you know, the campaign is moving forward. You know, we've looked on the website and talked to Mags and so on.
But we'll be keeping in touch with her anyway, and how it's going.
Oh, absolutely. And we talked about how under the current setup in Ireland, how they really don't have a fighting chance because of the amount of money that it would cost to go through the courts all the way in Dublin for the solicitor. They might as well just buy the land outright themselves. Yeah. So, you know, and also trying to deal with the people that are at the helm, you know, of the Celtic Tiger. That's just something that's in their best interest and their agenda. The Celtic Tiger serves, you know, a small elite in Ireland.
Well, it's being run by greed.
And I guess that's the key ingredient, you know, really at the end of the day, Pat, this is just about land grabs, you know.
Well, there's even something similar going on in Greystones right now, where despite, I think it's 6,000 objections to the county council there, that they're going to seize foreshore and land near the ocean there to put in this resort, which wouldn't fit in. It would be more in line with say a Costa del Sol style resort of Spain and Portugal or the Mediterranean, and the people don't want it, and they don't even have an option. It's basically they're seizing the land to give it to a developer, not even to make money off of it.
Sure. So, and what county is this in?
This is in Wicklow.
This is in Wicklow.
Yes.
Wow. There we go again. You know, there's probably a lot of other issues that are similar to this. Cow Park, Shell to Sea. Let's not forget about that big campaign going out in the West also.
And Shell to Sea is ongoing.
Is ongoing as we speak right now. Yeah. And this is all the result. These are the things that you don't see in the major media, you know, about the Celtic Tiger when they talk about how Ireland is doing so well. You know, for a handful of people that are either state connected or, you know, the ultra rich and the elite, and that's the only ones that it benefits, you know. Yeah. Pat, how's things going as far as the campaign for the prisoners and the families?
Well, the prison protest in Maghaberry Prison in the 6 counties is still ongoing. It's been going on since June of last year. The important thing I think people have to realize is that it's important to get behind the prisoners now and their fight for political status before things get to a situation like we have in 1981. It's all fair and good to come out later on when things are at a fever pitch. But if you got there now we don't have. Why make the prisoners go through, say, something as traumatic or as dangerous for everybody as 1981. Yeah, the important thing is to get behind them now, and they're not looking for any special status. They're only looking to be treated fairly. There's been an ongoing protest throughout the 32 counties in Ireland in support of the prisoners. The prisoners in in Portlaoise have been holding solidarity protests once a week. The Republican prisoners in Portlaoise with their comrades or with the fellow political prisoners in support of them in Maghaberry. There's also been public information meetings, which are slowly getting the word out. And as I said, as you mentioned with Shell to Sea and stuff, the media isn't the best friend to cases like these. Yeah, right. So it's very important that activists themselves, in any way they can, such as this even, try to get the word out on issues such as this. Another thing that's important, what I would say is what people should do to help with this case, is to get on www.irishfreedom.net and read and learn about what is exactly going on before you say, oh, I want to get involved. See what in the prisoners' own words in their statements and in the statements of their support groups such as Republican Prisoners Action Group, what is going on, And you can see that this is not a thing where they're crying, looking for special thing. They just want to be treated fairly. They're locked up on alternating days from 23 hours a day to 19 hours a day. Just ridiculous. They can't eat, even though there's a canteen or what we may call a cafeteria in this country, in the building they're in. They're forbidden from using it. They have to eat in their cells, making their meals on top of their toilets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, Pat. The stuff, and not to mention the stuff what the families have to go through, Pat. You know, when they go to visit, they're subjected to loyalists. You know, when they go into the visiting areas,
oh, it's full of intimidation.
Dogs,
yeah.
You know, if the dog goes up to a visitor, a family member, and sits down, that means they can't get in. Yeah. And this happens all the time. Yeah. It's just harassment, and these are all. You know, this is going on for years with Irish Republicans and the families going into the jails. But like Pat said, we want to avoid a situation like 1981. You know, and unfortunately with the likes of Jerry Adams and his followers, you know, under the so-called Good Friday Agreement, where there's nothing good about it, you know, their rights for political status were signed away with the stroke of a pen. So here we are
someone else's
again.
privilege. Prisoners were denied status for others' privilege.
Mm-hmm. And so, you know, here we are again fighting for the right for political status, because that's what this struggle is. It's a fight for freedom from Ireland.
Another thing, we had John Horan recently on, who's an activist with COWER, which is a prisoners' dependence charitable organization, and he describes some of, not just the prisoners being harassed, but the family members on the outside and activists trying to at home, at work, on the street, non-stop harassment. And it shows the dedication of people involved in groups like the Republican Prisoners Action Group and COWER, that they haven't backed down and gone. You can see in that face of intimidation how easy it would be to just say, "To hell with it,"
just to give up.
Just give up.
And this is going on. And again, you don't see this in the mass media. You don't see this. You know, on CNN. You'll see it here, though. You'll see it in the papers like Saoirse, and you'll see it on the websites. But, you know, like Pat said, of course we want everybody to support. You know, financial support is very, very important for the families with their main breadwinner locked up in jail for his political activities seeking freedom for Ireland. But we want people to know the moral support and the activist support is very important. We want people to know, you know, exactly what's going on, the history and the current events with this struggle. And again, we want to avoid a situation like 1981. But you know what, Pat? I'd like to say something about one of the events that happened on the